Hey gamers, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave Wallace, and hopefully we've figured out some of the audio and some of the video problems from last time. This is a work in progress. I'm kind of trying to kick off the dust, but it does seem to be getting better here, so let's just hope for the best. Today we're doing our very first game review on the channel, a board game review, and it's going to be Eschaton. But before we get to that, I need to make my first correction on the show. It's a big one. If you watched my top 10 video, you might have seen that I praised this game on there. I talked about how much I loved it, and it's one of my absolute favorite games, and I encouraged you to go and check out Eschaton Studios so that you could find out all about it. After I posted that video, I sent a link to Eschaton, the creators of this game, and they were very appreciative of what I had to say. They thanked me for the kind words. They were also very gracious to point out that there is an Eschaton Studios and there is an Eschaton Games. Oops. Turns out I have no idea who Eschaton Studios is. Maybe they're really cool, but this game is made by Eschaton Games. I'm going to put a link in the description because there's plenty of cool stuff for you to check out on their site, but eschatongames.net is the website address to go check out, and let's get to it. So the way board game reviews are going to work on this channel is that we're going to break up everything into 8 hopefully short categories. First off is going to be the theme and description. So it's going to basically be a reading of what's written on the box, the thing that drew us into the game in the first place. After that, we're going to do what's in the box. We're going to talk about components that come with the game, the board, and just let you know ahead of time everything that's going to be in there when you buy it. After that is going to be aesthetics. We're going to talk about the art and the design of the game. I am an artist by trade. I've been a professional tattoo artist for 30 years, but I'm also a published illustrator, photographer. I do paintings, I do drawings, I do everything. So art means a lot to me. So we're going to break it down into what it is that I really like about the game and maybe what I don't really like. Ease of instructions. This one for me, I'm going to be honest, I've never been diagnosed with ADD, but I feel like all too often when I'm reading rule books for games, I'll read a paragraph and then think, wait, I didn't catch any of that, and I got to read it again, and eventually I end up going and watching how-to videos. So we're going to talk about how easy it is to get a grasp of the game just from reading the instructions. After that, we'll go through a quick setup and how to play of that game. I'm not going to do a full playthrough. I'm just going to basically tell you how to play it. Next category will be cost and availability. We'll discuss, how easy it is to find the game and how much it's going to drain your wallet. After that, expansions. Are there any expansions available? And then we'll wrap everything up with final thoughts. All right, so that's how it's going to work. So let's get into it. From Eschaton Games, released originally in 2016. This is made for 2 to 6 players, 1 to 2 hours, and suggested for ages 14 and up. This is Eschaton.
Welcome, cultists. Eschaton is upon us. The days of Armageddon draw nigh, and the Dark One shall again be upon us in all of his unholy grandeur. Gather the cults, delve into the arcane, and conquer in his name. In this game, you are the leader of a cult engaged in a desperate struggle for the favor of the Dark One. To win, you must collect relics, conquer territories, and fulfill omens that manifest over the course of play. The cult that has accumulated the most favor by these means will stand triumphantly as the Dark One's chosen. All others are doomed to perish in the fires of the end times.
Really cool theme, right? I love it. Now, of course, when it comes to dark topics like this, some people are a little bit more sensitive to that, and that's okay. I treat this pretty much the same way I treat music, books, movies. I don't take any of it too seriously, just have fun with it. But that, of course, is up for your discretion. But yeah, I really like the dark theme of this. So anyway, let's talk about what comes in the box.
Okay, so in the core box for Eschaton, you're going to have the game board with this beautifully designed map on it, cards for the Conclave, the Arcana deck, and the Event deck. Then you'll have these boards for the player areas, as well as cubes to represent each player's cults. These come in 6 different colors. And tokens for the round marker, curses, plagues, and territory bonuses. And of course, there's the rules booklet.
All right, let's get into the aesthetics of the game. I want to talk about, of course, the art and design. First off, right off the bat, the box cover. I mean, I just love this embossed black on top of this dark grays. It just kind of gives you that, solemn nature of the game as it's going to come already. And as I told you before in the last video, I did explain how much I'm really fond of the art in this game. I believe I referred to it as Guerrilla Gothic. Some of this is very dark, bold, and chunky. Kind of reminds me of those linoleum cut bas reliefs with the ink roller that goes over it. It's simple, but it's at the finest execution. On top of that, you got the character cards that have this almost a bit of watercolor slash faded pastels to it, and adds a little bit of elegance to it. It's dark and it's bold, but it's beautiful. And I gotta admit, for me, I'm always, of course, drawn to this kind of art. So really cool looking, kind of reminds me of old heavy metal flyers that we used to make back in the day. But anyway, love the artwork in this. As for the ease of instructions, like I said, sometimes I have a hard time with that stuff. Maybe I just have a problem paying attention. But for this game, I actually managed to get it pretty easy. The instruction booklet that comes with it for the rules, it's only 20 pages long, and that's front and back covers, includes illustrations and even fairly large print. I had no problem getting this. I would say that there probably are a few of the maybe sections where the wording stays within the theme, but it's definitely not hard to figure out. And during the how-to, I'll probably be breaking a few things down in layman's terms. But if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. All right, up next, let's get into the basic setup and the how to play.
To set up, place the board in the center of the playing area. That's pretty much the first step of every board game you'll ever play. Hand out the 2 different player mats to each player, as well as their chosen color of cubes. Assemble the event deck, which includes events, omens, and the Armageddon card. This is easily explained in the rulebook. Shuffle the Arcana deck and set it in the bottom right corner of the board. This is the largest deck of cards in the game. Assemble the Conclave, which includes the 4 power cards and their respective tokens, as well as the stacks of available cultist cards. Easiest to just order these in their numeric values so you can find them quickly. Give each player their standard starting hand of 7 cards, which they may then shuffle and place face down on their player board in the area marked Deck. Place the territory bonus markers on the board in their respective locations. Give the round marker to the agreed upon first player. Now you're ready to play. Turn over the first event card, and at the beginning of the first round, before each player draws from their deck, they will place 4 of their cubes in the territory on the board marked as the Citadel. Okay, let's get into how to play, starting with the player's turn. Start by drawing 5 cards from your deck. You're going to play all of your cards each round, so you'll always draw at least 5 cards. Anytime your deck runs out, you can reshuffle your discard deck and place them back face down onto the deck location. This deck will grow much larger over the rounds. Next, you'll begin using the abilities listed down the left-hand side of the cards in your hand. For ease, I just overlap the cards so I can see the ability next to each other and add up the results pretty easily. Now let's discuss these abilities. First off, note that at the top of the card is the name of the cultist, and to the right is the cost for buying that card. Now, the first of the abilities is called Zeal. This gives you the ability to draw more cards from your deck on this particular turn. The more cards you can play at once, the more devastating you'll be to your enemies.
So for example, let's say that I lay down my 5 cards, and going across the Zeal I have 2 points of Zeal. That means I'm going to draw another 2 cards immediately off the top of my deck and lay them down next to the 5 I already laid out. If amongst those there's more Zeal, say I got another point of Zeal, then yet I take another card. So the more Zeal you have, more cards you're going to be able to lay out all in one shot.
The second ability is called Divination. This allows you to draw cards from the Arcana deck, look at them, and keep one to add to your discard pile. The Arcana deck consists of edicts, which give you immediate powers, auras, which give you lasting power for as long as you keep it in your aura space in your player area, relics, which are really only good for the sacrificial pyre but may grant you abilities later, and fiends, which are beastly creatures that you add to your deck to work the same as your cultists, but typically stronger. After you draw your cards from the Arcana deck, keep one you want and add it to your discard pile, and put the rest at the bottom of the Arcana deck. If your Divination ability says the word Scour above it, it indicates additional cards that you may keep from the cards you drew from the Arcana deck.
Okay, so an example of that is with Divination, I add up all of them and I have a total of, say, 4. Then I'm going to draw 4 cards off the Arcana deck and check them all out, see which one I think is going to be most beneficial to me. I keep that one, put it in my discard pile, and the other 3 are going to go at the bottom of the Arcana deck. However, if those 4 points of Divination are added to one of my cards having a +1 Scour, this means that I'm going to draw those 4 cards off the Arcana deck, but I'm going to keep 2, put them in my discard pile, and put the other 2 down at the bottom.
The third ability is Influence. The booklet says this is your ability to manipulate the conclave, but in layman's terms, the conclave is the market and the influence is your buying power. Add up your influence across your hand, and that's the total you get to spend. You can buy cultists in the conclave based on their cost listed in the top right corner. You can also buy power actions for March, Plague, Curse, and Dispel. You don't have to take the card for this. March gives you 1 free movement to an adjacent space before the aggression turn. A Plague allows you to place a Plague token on any space on the map, killing 2 of each colored cube each round until that space is empty. A Curse, and its token, hinders another player's influence ability. And a Dispel will help you remove the curse that jerk next to you just placed on you. If your influence ability has the word Inspire above it, you get a free movement similar to using the March power. And finally, the fourth ability is Aggression. This is where the cubes come into play. Your aggression total is the amount of single moves you can make, either adding a cube to a territory you already have presence, moving a cube to an adjacent territory, or destroying a cube of your opponent's. Example, I have a total of 8 aggression points. I set down 3 cubes in a territory where I already have one, and my opponent has 2 there. But this is 3 moves. Then I kill their 2 cubes. That's another 2, making it 5. Then I move 2 of my cubes from there to an adjacent territory. That's 7. And then I move 1 of those cubes again to another adjacent territory. That's 8 moves. Each player on their turn will go through all 4 of their actions, and then the next player goes. Once everyone has had a turn, the round is over. The round marker gets passed to the player on the left, who will then go first, and a new card from the event deck is turned. Event cards have an effect on everyone. Omen cards from the event deck include a goal, and whoever achieves that goal will add the Omen card to their sacrificial pyre for additional points in the end. Somewhere between the 10th and the 12th round, the Armageddon card will be turned over, ending the game. The rules book offers scoring for your territories, as well as specific cards in your hand in the sacrificial pyre.
Alright, so let's talk a little bit about cost and availability. You can get this directly from Archon Games on their website for $60. $60, that's a great deal. $60 is a Sunday lunch with the family at Applebee's. Actually, probably even less than that once you include the tip, and your wife's got to have a couple of top shelf margaritas. So this is definitely a great deal. You're going to get hours of entertainment. I have seen this listed on some other online game stores, and some of them were quite a bit more expensive. I'm not sure why. So if I was going to suggest anything, I'd say get it directly from the source. That's just my personal opinion. If there's a game store near you, they might have it. If they don't, then of course they could probably order it for you. However, you're not going to come across this in a Target or a Walmart, and there seems to be no presence of this on Amazon. Not really sure why that is, but you can still get it directly from Archon Games. So price, great. Availability, it's a little thin, but you know where to get it. Okay, let's talk about expansions. When I bought this in 2022 at Gen Con, I also bought the Sigils of Ruin expansion there. And oddly enough, until only about 2 weeks ago, I'd actually never played it. I guess I was just enjoying the core game as it was. But I recently did add that in, and it does add a whole new dynamic to it. The expansion Sigils of Ruin brings in another, like an AI enemy involved in it, the Inquisitors. Also gives you a specific avatar and like a tribe for your cult to follow after. Really cool stuff to it, even more event cards. There's a lot of new dimensions that it adds to it. For me, I actually had to add a couple of extra event cards just to make the game a little bit longer in order to really get use out of the expansion, but it's very cool. Now, aside from that, on their website, they have a few other things that you can add to the game. They do have cult meeples that you can replace your cubes with. This is the only thing that I didn't really care for about the look, the aesthetics of the game. Just my personal opinion, the meeples look a little goofy. But other than that, everything that you can get really cool. They have card sleeves that you can protect your cards with. They also have a metal round marker. It's really sharp looking. They've got a cloth map that you can use. And just in July, they did start crowdfunding for a new expansion coming out called Iconoclasm. This looks really cool because this expansion will turn your game into a cooperative game, and it gives more power to the Inquisitors who become your AI. So now it can also be a solo game. I'm really interested in that. Take this one game and just play it so many different ways. It's really cool and excited to get my hands on that one. So my final thoughts are probably pretty clear. I love this game. I think it looks great. Enjoy playing it. Enjoy playing it with friends. If you're into deck builders, or just like kind of area control games, and there's actually quite a bit of variety to this. So I definitely highly suggest checking it out. Even just go to their website. Go to archongames.net and take a look at everything that they have. It's definitely a good value. Lots of replayability to it. And of course, now that they're adding all these expansions to it, even more playability. If you go check out their website, they're really doing a great job of world building in this specific realm. They're actually just adding more content. It's really sharp. Really excited to see it all come together. I also really want to get my hands on their other game, Nexus Infernum. If I get my hands on it and it's as cool as I think it is, then maybe sometime we'll do a review of that one on here. But anyway, take the time, check out archongames.net. Thank you, Archon Games, of course, for being cool with me when I kind of screwed up the names there a little bit, and for just making such a cool product. All right, so that's going to be it. I'd like to know if this is helpful to you. Are you interested in this game? Have you played this game? And what do you think of it? you enjoyed it as much as I do. Next time we'll probably be slipping into a little bit of D&D territory, but we'll definitely be doing some more board game reviews in the future, so check that out, and I'll see you next week. Hey gamers, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. It's one of the things I know that I can count on with the gaming community at large. This is of course to the point where I gotta ask you to like it, hit that subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend. If you are a game designer, or maybe starting your own gaming company, and you want to do a little bit of cross promotion, maybe you got a prototype that you want me to check out and talk about on the show, definitely let me know. And of course, for all questions, suggestions, and corrections, there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Probably the easiest one is just comment below. You can also send me an email at jackofallgamestt@gmail.com. The T stands for tabletop. And if you'd like to take a look at my commissioned miniature paint jobs, or even some of the other stuff in my life like photography or tattooing, which is what I do for my day job, go check it out on Instagram @ArtOfWallace. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.